Okay, so on today we will be dealing with a more personal topic. On today I will be talking on the topic of learning to completely surrender to Christ, and I'll be focusing on when life doesn't go exactly as planned. And I have experienced that. I know we've all had some sort of experience where we thought something should have happened and it didn't happen the way we expected. And so I can talk about my personal experience just dealing along the lines of a career wise. In 2000, the latter part of 2016, I had actually applied to the nursing program at the community college that I was attending at the time. And I got back the letter. I was waiting on the letter whether I had been accepted or not. And when I got back the letter, it said that I wasn't accepted. But the letter was kind of strange because it wasn't just the basic or the normal denial letter. The letter actually said it was more so implied that the administrators who were over the program, they really couldn't just give a reasonable explanation of why they couldn't accept me into the program at that time. And the letter basically said, like, you have all the qualifications, you have the scores, you have the credits, but for some reason we just cannot let you into the program at the time. There was like, for some reason, there is no seating available for us to accept anybody for this semester. And so at that moment, I was disappointed. And it was more so of my pride that was hurt because it was something that I was striving to do, and I had strategically planned out that I finished all my basics, all my core English, science, math, psychologies, electives. I had completed everything that I needed in order to be accepted into that program. And I remember when I got the letter that I wasn't accepted, I was so disappointed. I was more so just disappointed because I felt like, okay, I've completed all these classes, I done put in all this work, and at that moment I was like, okay, now this is just like what was the use of me doing all of that? Not thinking, that I could reapply or whatever, but just in that split second when I was read that I was denied acceptance. And so what I can say stemming from that, during that time, my main goal was to be accepted into the RN program, graduate, complete the program, no struggle, no hassle, and be employed by a nearby or a local pediatric clinic. Because if you rewind back, my childhood goal, or when I was coming through high school, my main goal was to get into a college, a university more so, away from home, complete all the courses I needed, enroll into med school after graduating from the university, enroll into the med school, and I wanted to become a pediatrician, not just a pediatric nurse that I kind of settled for when I was going to the community college, but I wanted to become a pediatrician owning my own practice. That was my main that was my main goal. And it wasn't just something that I just had a true passion for, or it wasn't something that I felt like I was just called to do, but it was something that struck my interest. The medical field, it always struck my interest. Growing up as a little kid, we always had, my sister and I, we always had the doctor's coat, the white coats, the toy stethoscopes, the needles, the different syringes, all the different little tools that you would use in a medical practice. And so, fast forwarding back, to when I wasn't accepted, I talked with a few people, and majority of people, they were actually shocked because they said, well, most people, if they're not accepted into the nursing program, it's because they don't have the right amount of credits, or they didn't score the highest that they needed to on the TEAS test. And for me, that wasn't the case. I had above scores on the TEAS test, and I had over the amount of credits needed in order to be accepted. So I was actually overqualified to be accepted. And then later on, and after that semester ended, that was the fall semester of 2016, I reapplied during the spring semester of 2017. And what I did, I applied to both programs that was at the college, the community college. I applied to the RN as well as the LPN. And that time around, I was actually accepted into both, and I had the choice of which program I wanted to go into. But a quick pause right there. Uh, at that moment, during that time, I was not seeking the Lord, asking Him, was that His will for me? Because the first red flag was me not being accepted. I had the qualifications, wasn't accepted. Second time around, because I was praying so like, Lord, I just really, really, really got to get into this program. I wasn't saying, Lord, is this your will for my life? Is this, will this keep me in line with your will, with the path that you want me to be on? I was just more so leaning towards what I wanted to do. And one of the biggest mistakes that we can make as a Christian is putting our will above the will of God, above the will of Christ. So later on, what I did, I started into the program, had all my uniforms, the scrubs, all the tools that I needed, the supplies I needed. Started the program, ended up finishing the first semester that I was enrolled in. When I entered the program, things still wasn't going as planned because I ended up having to enroll part-time instead of full-time, which was going to lengthen the amount of time that I actually had to be in the program. Instead of the 2 years, it was going to end up like 2.5, almost 3 years, because I started out part-time, had to start out part-time. And so things still wasn't going as planned, but I was determined because I had set in my mind, okay, I haven't completed all these classes, and to put all my time into getting enrolled, getting accepted into this program for now. I was determined, but it ended up, my dad got sick, passed away, and when he passed away, it almost was as if it took him passing away, because he was one, he always would tell people like, yeah, I got one, my baby girl is going to be an RN. When she graduates, she's going to be a nurse. And I was leaning more so just hearing and just seeing how, I say excited he was just for me being enrolled in the program. Hadn't even like fully got my feet into it yet, but just knowing that I had finally got accepted. And I was leaning more so towards like, okay, my daddy done approved of this, he excited about it. But I was not seeking the will of God for my life. And it was after he passed away, I really, really, it was like the scripture that that's in the Bible, and it talks about acknowledging God in all of your ways, that He'll be able to direct your path. It wasn't until my dad passed away and I had to take a break out of the nursing program what I actually had the chance to step back and kind of reevaluate, recalculate, and I was like, okay, now Lord, is this really the path that you desire for me to take? Because I know we can have desires and have make plans for ourselves, but all of those plans and all of those desires are not of God. You refer back to Saul before he was converted to Paul. He had the will, and he was persecuting Christians. Thought he was doing it for the sake of Christ. Thought he was right. And it ended up that Christ had to show him, like, look, what you doing, this isn't what I desire for you to do. It took him being knocked off of a horse to the ground, being stricken with blindness, his sight being taken away, and the Lord speaking to him to let him know, like, look, this isn't what I desire for you to do. This isn't my will.